Just do a hello.
Today we have with us Miss Ankusha Bandyopadhyay. She is an assistant professor in the Department of English at Amrita Vishwavidyapeeth, Coimbatore. She is an NLP practitioner and keenly interested in mind sciences. She has an experience of over 10 years in the various modalities of mind sciences. We heartily welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Vaishali, for the warm welcome. And thank you, Imocare. Thank you, Mr. Sita Lakshmi Shivakumar, for giving me the opportunity to speak to you. And a warm welcome to all of you, and warm welcome to one and all who are listening to me. Okay, today we are going to do presuppositions. Presuppositions in NLP. So, before I start the session, let me tell you something very important. All of you must have heard the story of frog in a well. Now, what is that frog in a well story? I know this is a very common story, but see, so what is the frog? Frog in a well, once the frog from outside comes and meets the frog in a well who feeds upon the insects and the food whatever is available in the well. The frog is not aware of what is there outside the world. Okay, what is there outside the world, what is there in the world, in the well, sorry, is only the purview of that particular frog. So when the other frog says we can go out, we can see, I am the frog from the pond, or I am, and there are much more better water bodies, bigger water bodies than your well. So the frog doesn't understand what that is. Well, I need not detail upon the story at length because you already know that. But let me tell you what the main point that I want to emphasize here is: are we not frog in a well when you take certain cases and certain things in our life? Do we know everything in the world? What I mean to say is that the frog, isn't the frog a metaphor of a limited perception of particular things that we have? Do we know everything, or does our perception of the world include an absolute knowledge of everything? No, right? So if the frog in the well is a metaphorically, it stands for the particular things, only the things that we believe, whatever the things that was in our purview, and that is not the absolute knowledge. And I can say, I can easily correlate, and I can draw analogies of the frog that comes outside, or the frog from the pond or the sea, to be the territory or the absolute knowledge, or the broader or wider arena of knowledge. So let me pause and ask you, so do you or have you any time denied any kind of advice from any person, or have you denied any kind of advice or good suggestions from any person or any situation or any event? Have you done that? I just want the listeners to pause and understand that. See, whatever we see in the world is not everything. There are more things. There are more things that can be included in our vision, and that vision has to be expanded. And for that, we need to take advice. We need to take suggestions from others. We need to see. We need to be always alert and awake to see what more we can learn, so that we can widen our field of perception, our map. Now, having said this, I have touched upon a very important concept, a presupposition in NLP, that is, map is not the territory. right? Map means your set of assumptions and beliefs, or your set of thoughts that generates your set of beliefs, your set of feelings, thoughts, etc., etc. And the map, this map, what concept is very individualistic. Okay, my map is not the same as yours. You do not perceive the world in the same way as I do. So what what is necessary, what here it necessitates is that we need to learn more, we need to incorporate more, we need to be more open to better knowledge or more knowledge, so that we can be aware of more things. And and one more thing, and having said that, now I want all of you to think about that single point of thought. Okay, now just close your eyes. Okay, just close your eyes and think. Go back, go back in time. Go back in time and think about any particular instance or any particular happening or situation or event, whatever you may call. Think about it, where you have denied any kind of suggestions or you denied any kind of advice from a good friend. Okay, think about that moment. Pause, think about that. Okay, I want you to write it down if possible, and think how my life would have been, or what would have been, what good things would have come to me if I had taken or incorporate that particular suggestion. Think about that. How your map would have been broadened if you had taken such suggestions, or by not if the suggestion need not be taken from a particular person. It could be something from an event, from a situation, it could be anything. What changes would have come to your life? Think about that. Okay, I want you to pause and think. Okay, now after you have thought of that and written of that, now think what feelings that bring to you. Now, I have done this exercise with some of my students, and some of them tell that I feel the feeling of regret, but I do feel sad for that. Maybe all of us have that kind of experience sometime. But then this is the time to change. Okay, you need not feel regret, but henceforth you can change. Now that you have got a very good learning that map is not the territory, and that means you need more acceptance, you need to accept more, you need to learn more. Okay, now I want to think about any particular skill you want to grow, or any particular goal that you have. For example, taking for example for the skill, I would say that suppose you would like to if you are interested, for example, if you are interested in painting and you want to improve more on your skills, that how, and you have certain concepts about your painting on skills like that, and you know how to draw, you know how to paint, but how would you increase that skill, how would you hone your skills in a better way? Okay, and who will help you in that? Can you just list it out? What are the sources I can communicate to? What are the sources I can get? And who are the people who can help me? Who's the best person who can help me to broaden that map of mine? Right? Yes, that is a great learning for you. Now, having said that, map is not the territory. It becomes very obvious that we have to respect other person's map. Now, this is another very important presupposition of NLP, that we have to respect the other person's map. Now, how do you do that? Now, what does it mean? What is the perception? See, now I said that map, the concept of map is very individualistic, and you need to respect the other person's map. Therefore, right? Now, suppose when you are communicating to another person, understand his beliefs, his knowledge level, the information level that he has in his mind, and the way his mind thinks. Okay. I don't know whether you know this very famous television series there. What is that? Yeah. Um, mm, Big Bang Theory. Yes. Sheldon Cooper in Big Bang Theory. I don't know whether you know that. If you don't know, please go and have an hilarious laugh by watching the series in YouTube. I don't know whether you have it in YouTube because earlier we used to watch that. And he is a mad scientist, okay, theoretical physicist. And everything he makes everything into very complicated and very, his language is technical language, and he is perceived as a very eccentric person. Why is he perceived as so? Eccentric person, because he doesn't know the other person map, what the other person knows, and he starts speaking physics all on a sudden and confuses everybody. The things could have been said in a very better, easier manner, but he doesn't do so. Right? He doesn't know the other person level of thinking, belief, or his other knowledge, etc., etc., etc. Okay. And also math is you need to respect other person's map also means that whenever somebody says something that is quite contrary to your belief, okay, don't go about arguing or anything, because the perceptions or beliefs of the other person is often shaped by their social situations, surroundings, and their innate belief systems. Okay, so I would say that it's not that accepting everyone's views, it's not like that, but respecting their map and talk accordingly, shape your words accordingly around that. Okay, so that you don't have proper, if you don't, have proper communication and no conflicts anywhere, right? So that is very important. Now, I have a very good anecdote in one particular university college. Okay, I don't remember which university, and I need not mention that also. Professor wanted the class representative to give his the roll numbers. Okay, roll numbers and phone numbers of all the students who were who were supposed to take part in the youth festival. Okay, the upcoming youth festival. So the professor wanted this by sharp by 2 p.m. to be kept at his desk. Now the way he communicated is totally in a proper way. So, and this professor was supposed to contact these people who are there in the youth festival for a get together and for a rehearsal. Okay, so that was to happen after 4 o'clock. And the college hours were from 7 to I don't know when it starts, but by 2 o'clock everyone will wind up and they leave the place. Okay, that is the thing that happens. Now the student Suresh, whom he just told one instruction: Suresh, please collect the numbers, or please give me the numbers of the people who are participating in the youth festival, and keep the list ready and keep it on my table by 2 p.m. And Suresh kept it all the roll numbers written. What he wanted was mobile numbers. Okay, where the mobile numbers, but what he got was roll numbers. Now what happened? This person was bewildered because he didn't know what to do, because all the people have left and he doesn't have any contact numbers of any other person. Okay. Now, very nice. He tried to call, he couldn't do anything. The youth festival was to happen and they were supposed to send the people within 2 days, and the next day was a holiday. So there was total mismanagement and miscommunication because of this not understanding the map of the student. See, the students should, the teacher should have understood, the professor should have understood that the number what he should have specified, that is the mobile number that he wants. Thinking about that, and that he should have understood that that is not there in their map, or he should have read his students' map in a better way. Okay, he should have done that. And one more thing is that, having said that, this communication and all stuff, everything requires a proper understanding of others' map. And I would say that if you have not done things in a proper way, and in a proper way, there is not a problem, because all these things have been a feedback to you, whatever you have done and how you have gone. And there is only feedback, no failure in NLP. So, having said that, I would introduce you to the third presupposition, that there are no failures, only feedback. Okay, so you can always think that there should not be any sense of regret over a mistake that has been done by you. Always you should think about new ways. If one way doesn't work, definitely another way will work, right? So there is not a problem, that is not a problem. And this also applies to students who sometimes you might have thought, no, haven't you gone to that traumatic situation where you have got very less marks, and where you have thought that, okay, now everything is gone. Okay, no, I am feeling dejected. No, my dear students and my dear parents or whoever is listening, thinks that there is no failure, there is only feedback. Only thing is that the strategy matters. If one way doesn't work, try another way out, right? Try another way out, and definitely that will work. Suppose studying and making notes, just making notes and rereading the notes doesn't work for you. Do read, do think, make mind maps, think about it, visualize the chapters. I think that might help. So this is from a teacher's point of view. And there will be similarly, there will be other situations in life where you can change the strategies. Because in NLP, we believe that there is only flexibility gives more choice, and therefore flexibility is always welcome. The more the number of choices, the more there is scope for success, right? That is a key important takeaway. Now, after saying all these things, I want to tell you one most important NLP presupposition. I think that an anecdote or the example that I gave earlier resonates with this particular presupposition also. What is communicated is the response that we receive. Earlier, I gave you the example of the professor. What response did he give? He wanted something for mobile phone numbers, but what did he get in his response? He got the roll numbers back. So one should be mindful of his words, what he or she is speaking, especially while giving instructions, and especially conversing, especially and also while negotiating. Everything in every conversation, not only these situations, in every conversation, in every point of time, when there is a talk or a speech between, there is a conversation between two people, both of them need to think, need to be mindful of what they're talking. And one very key important point, words alone do not make the entire communication. Verbal communication is not the only communication. There is a whole plethora of communication systems and communication way of communicating. through your body language, the right tone, the posture, IQs, etc. We need to think about everything. So suppose I say, please bring me some water. What tone is that? This is obviously a request. Now suppose say, yeah, please bring me some water. So in that case, what is the tone? It is as if I am dictating terms. Several major miscommunication happen. Several kinds of miscommunication happen because of wrong tone, wrong posture, and wrong body language. The second sentence, the second part of the sentence, what I said is, yeah, bring me some water. Please bring me some water. So this has a dictating tone, right? I spoke the same words, but my eyes were crooked. If you notice that, my eyes were crooked and my tone went short up and my intonation was very rude. See, and more than 50% of the communication, as per the research, is non-verbal. So we need to be mindful of what way we are communicating and what manner we are communicating. Right? That is very important. Yeah. And having said that, I would like to tell you one very important aspect about managing your work and managing your time. Okay, so anything in this world can be achievable. Any large task can be achievable when we break it down into several bits. That is a major takeaway. So, so have you any time have you been overwhelmed with a large chunk of task, or if you have, suppose if you have do a big project, or if you have to write a thesis of, for example, 150 pages, or if you have to do a homework that has some 25 problems in that, and definitely if you have, even if you have time for that, maybe the teacher has given you 10 days time for that, what will you do? You'll first look at it, and many people do get overwhelmed with that. I've seen people doing that. But if you take one bit at a time, one problem, or one, if you write, if you type, suppose in the case of writing a project, if you write 2 pages a day, definitely you can finish the thing, you can finish your project work within a specified amount of time, definite amount of time you can do. But taking that little step, that matters. And also properly scheduling and properly dividing your time into bits, that helps a lot in several ways, right? And having said that, I am going to give you an exercise. Okay, now we don't have the time for pausing and for doing all these things. You can go back, you can do it later. There is, you can make an inventory of the time that you waste. And for many people, the time just flies away in morning. They get up and they just while away time, and finally they feel that there's no time left for the things that is required. Why it is happening so, right? So, having said that, I want you to divide your time into bits, as I said. How will you do that? So, take a piece of paper. Okay, this is exercise 1. Take a piece of paper. Okay, you can take any color paper that appeals to your senses. Beautiful color. Okay, pink is my favorite color, so I do this exercise in pink color. And I usually write with red color pen. And red is a color that gives some sort of assertiveness. I feel that color very bright and red. So I take a pink paper and I take a bright red sketch pen. I draw a timeline. Okay, So my timeline starts from the moment I wake up. Okay, then you write each hour, you mark, for example, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. You just mark till the time you go to bed. Okay, and throughout the day, I will say that you keep that paper with you or keep it somewhere from where you can see it. Or if you want to do it in your mobile phones, smartphones, you can do that. And see what are you actually, you just observe. Okay, the first day you have to observe it. Where are you wasting your time? Why is it that a person, every other person has 24 hours, but why is it that most things are not achieved? Or maybe where are you whiling away time? This will help you to understand where is this time leaking away, right? Okay, and you do this exercise for one day and see which all points it is going, and maybe the next day you can start scheduling your hours, scheduling your time accordingly in such a way that you know what are your best hours, what are your what is the time when your brain works fastest, and what is the time when you can dedicate your time for the best job that you have to do. That is the main goal of your life, right? Sorry, excuse me, let me take some water. Okay, so have your goal in your mind, the main goal that you have to achieve. Okay, now what is the action that you have to do for that? Have an action plan for that. These are the things. Okay, so I have to crack this exam, particular competitive exam. So what I have to do that? Answer the question, what I have to do for that? Okay, I have to study. I have to study all these materials, see all the subjects that you have, right? Then what you have to do, you just see your timeline, and when you see your timeline, you will be reminded of, okay, this is the time that I have wasted in that particular day. So okay, 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, I just whiled away this time. Okay, I just got up and I, instead of centering myself, instead of setting myself to the mood of the day, what have I done? I have just whiled away time in my mobile. When you see that you have done this once, then automatically you will feel that small kick will come into your system, and you will immediately start thinking, no, I have to use properly, really utilize this time. Okay, if possible, take a pick of the chunk of the books or the material that you have to study, stick it near your timeline, and every morning and every day, so in the morning you see it. Once you see it, you will be reminded of, this is the work that I have to do, and then think about it. You will definitely achieve it. And yeah, when you, okay, hello, yeah, yeah, there was some connectivity issues, I think. Yeah, so keep your actionable plan. Point number one, see your timeline, be mindful of where you are wasting your time, and then you can divide your, suppose you have to just study 10 chapters, don't look at the 10 chapters in one go, and then take each chapter one by one. And even in this particular, any particular chapter, for example chapter number 1, divide the chapter 1 into smaller chunks, and look at your timeline, look at the chunks, then accordingly you can plan accordingly. See the timeline and how much time do you have, and this will help you to achieve more in less number of time, and this will help you to avoid leakage of time, unnecessary leakage of time that people usually do. Okay. Yes, everything is achievable. Suppose even though you felt that till now I haven't tasted success, till now I haven't been productive, I haven't done anything, that's not a problem at all. Everything depends upon how we put across the things into our mind, how our mind reacts to that. The mind and the body are connected, right? So that is one important presupposition of NLP. The mind and the body are connected. So what does that mean? Mind and the body are connected. Whatever you think, it can be achieved. There are a lot of researchers and there are several luminaries in the field of mind sciences. For example, Deepak Chopra. Dr. Deepak Chopra is a doctor of alternative medicine, and he has researched into and gone into forayed into the realms of mind sciences and how it is connected with the body and how the body can be treated with the power of affirmation and visualization and several techniques of healing. So there was one case, anecdote I would like to say that I myself have heard that, and from one of my cousin. So this sister of mine said that she is into treatment, into alternative medicine, all this stuff. She said that there was a famous doctor in their field working with them, and apparently the woman was not having any particular the patient who came to him with a severe leg pain. Okay, now what this man did was, okay, he understood that there was some problem somewhere, but he thought, oh, I will not give prescribed medicine. So he is also very interested in alternative medicine and how the mind works on the body, etc., etc., etc. Now he gave a medicine. Definitely, he gave a medicine. Okay, medicine, and told the patient, see, okay, I can see that you are in pain, you are in distress. Do one thing. Every morning, without fail, take this medicine. Okay, without fail. And after taking this medicine, you should think that, yes, I will be cured. I will be cured. I will be cured. Repeat this for 3 times. Okay. The woman did likewise. And after 2 weeks, she came hopping and skipping and very happily she came to the clinic. Now the doctor said, yeah, yes, miss. So she said, yeah, I'm so grateful to you, sir. So why? This medicine worked like magic. I have been taking treatments from several doctors, and I have taken a lot of treatments from several places, but everything failed. But you are the only doctor who could cure me easily. The doctor laughed and said, you know what I gave you? This has only some sugar pills in that. Okay. And what cured you is your own belief system. Now, what did I tell you to repeat? I'm cured, I'm cured, I'm cured, and I'm absolutely fine. Right? This is what you repeat thrice when you take the medicine, and you repeat it several times in a day. So this is the belief. I just wanted to tell you that this is what your belief system is. So how powerful your mind is. Your mind can definitely control your body, and your mind can definitely cure yourself. So So in this anecdote, what is the major takeaway here? If the mind is so powerful that it can cure a disease that was persistently annoying, that was been persistently annoying and disturbing to that woman, right? It cured in 2 weeks of time. It took some time, but it cured. So don't you think that you can achieve your goals with by using this power of the mind? So today when you go back, I am going to give you a very important exercise. So I have given you several exercises, right? Now this is the third one. So I want you to take a piece of paper. In the center of the paper, just put a small dot. Point number 1, take a piece of paper. Point number 2, put a small dot in the center of the paper. And below that dot, an inch below the dot, write your goal. What is the main purpose of your life? Below that, write why you want to achieve that goal. Right? Now, take the pen and again go to the center of the piece of paper. Darken that particular dot. And as you darken that, say positive sentence, I have achieved dash so and so, such and such thing. Okay, I have achieved and I am very happy. For example, you want to crack in a particular exam. For example, you want to crack NEET. I have cracked this exam. And you visualize all the feelings. With all feelings, you visualize. Okay, right? Visualize that you have achieved that goal and everybody is happy around you, and you do this exercise for coming more than 21 days. 21 days is the time given. Usually it is said that if you do a habit, if 21 days becomes solidified in your mind, why not try for more than 21 days? You can continue and can proceed with your beautiful life if you continue good habits, right? So I want to know what is your major takeaways from this session. We have done presuppositions. Now let me read out the presuppositions that we have done. I don't know whether it will be visible in the screen, so I'll just read it out. The first presupposition is map is not the territory. Let me summarize it. What does it mean? So your map means your your mental state of thought, mind that generates your set of beliefs, perceptions, etc. And this map is very individualistic because every one of us have different map or different perceptions or different thoughts about the world outside us, and that map is not the same as the absolute knowledge or the knowledge outside the surroundings or outside. We always have the scope for widening our map. So, and second presupposition is rest. The other information we should know that other person has a different map. Respect the other person's map. Okay, now the next, having said that, let me tell you the next presupposition. The meaning of your communication is the response that you get. And so in order to elicit the proper response, you have to pose the proper words or proper tone and the proper, what do you call, proper verbal and non-verbal communication. In every way, you should be very mindful of what response and what message you want to give to the other person. Okay, there should definitely, if you understand the map, there will not be any miscommunication. And the next one is, there is no failure, only feedback. So this is a very major way to understand that we should not limit ourselves. We should always think beyond our what you call, what we think as our abilities are. Because suppose you failed in one particular subject, doesn't mean that you will never do it right. So failure, if you have failed in one way, so isn't there other ways to succeed? See, Edison, for example, I'm sure that all of you must be knowing Thomas Alva Edison. And what is he famous for? That also you must be knowing, right? And he was a hard-working man. How many times did he test? And how many times did he come across failures before he has come up with this bulb concept? And so testing, he is a very good example of that. So had he been dejected, would we have this beautiful, like all this bright and everything, like in our place? Everything would have been dark and dingy, right? So he's a man for that, right? So he is an example of a person who didn't get dejected of his failures, and he kept on persistently trying. Now this is a very big lesson for us. We should not think anything as failures. Everything is feedback. Learn from your failures. Now, as it said, right, failure is the stepping stone to success. Yeah. Now very logical connect to that is, flexibility is the key to success, right? If one way doesn't work, definitely you have other ways of working. There is definitely, if there are more choices and there is more success that you can get, like if there are more ways of doing. Okay, if one way doesn't work, if one strategy doesn't work, leave that. Be flexible. Be flexible to change. Okay, now go on that, right? And definitely, if one person can achieve one thing, definitely others also can do that. Again, let me tell you that this is the strategy that matters. If, for example, studying 1 hour a day and making note doesn't work for you, just make mind maps, visualize. Or suppose you are a person is if you know that there are different kinds of learner: visual, kinesthetic, and auditory. Okay, now let me tell you visual learners. They can learn whatever they read more and see more. They can visually more. They can learn visual. They are visual learners. Suppose they are learning that way and they are getting more marks. You might not get more marks because you are an auditory learner. You might record the lectures and listen to them later, and you can learn in that way, right? So there is always choices. And visual learners are, let me tell you, visual learners are learners. If you don't know, let me broaden your map first. Suppose if you don't know what is visual learners, they are very good with so for example, you have seen people who are who write their notes with sketch pens, who highlight, and who likes presentations. And this is the most of the learners are visual learners. And there are some people, for example, I am an auditory learner. I learn more I learn more when I listen to the particular things. Okay, I can learn better. More than visual, I can learn better. So I can record things. I listen to lectures. After listening, I try to recollect and meditate on that. That's how I learn. So there is a different ways of learning. So that way works for me. The same way doesn't work for my friend. Okay. Okay. So if one person, so ultimately both of us do well. If one way works for her, the other way works for me. So if she can do that, I can also do that. I can also achieve the target. I mean, I can also achieve the target. Only thing is that there are several strategies. I take this strategy, she takes that strategy. In life also, if one strategy doesn't work, you can take another strategy. Like, and let me tell you the last one, the last presupposition, that is mind and body are connected. That is very important. And mind body connection, and I said that the power of visualization and the exercise that I gave you, please do that. That is a very rewarding exercise. You take piece of paper, if you want me to repeat, take a piece of paper, put a small dot in the center of the paper, and then write your main goal. Below that, write why you want to achieve that goal. And you broaden your circle, you widen your circle, the dot, you darken your dot, and you think. Now concentrate on that particular dot for a moment and visualize. After that, you visualize, think, visualize what would have been the situation if I have achieved it. Write, frame in positive affirmation, right? Frame positive affirmations and think, I have achieved. I have, for example, you want a car. Think that you have got it, and having said that, just thinking and visualizing won't do. You have to have proper actionable plans, and that is where you have to divide your time in tiny bits and take that action bit by bit. Now I told you to draw the timeline, make a time inventory or the log where you see where you are wasting time, and that will give you ideas how to fix that problem. That will help you to know two things: one, where you are wasting your time, and secondly, it will help you to know when and with what time is your mind the best, works the best, and you will be able to devote that time instead of whiling away and wasting the time. You will be able to devote the time in your proper ways. Okay, you will be able to do proper things. Whatever is required for your goal will be done by you. So be mindful. Okay, thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity to come and speak to you. I think I have given you something, and something productive, and please do the exercises. I'm sure I have added some value to your life, and I'm happy to do that. And if you have any problems regarding studies, or if you want to contact me regarding anything regarding mind researchers, and you can contact me, my personal number, and I think you will get my number from MoCare. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. We are grateful to you for extremely wonderful session and providing such nice activities to us. Thank you so much, ma'am.
I'll be happy if I'm able to help you in any way, and you can always contact me if you need. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Nokia team. And thank you so much.